Well, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to this first edition of Ask the Statto with me. Well, in the normal virus-free world, I'd be in India at the moment for the IPL. My first experience of going to the tournament. It would have been such an exciting adventure, but unfortunately, all of this has curtailed that. Coming on the back of such two great ICC tournaments that I worked on, the ICC Under-19s World Cup in South Africa. There was some serious talent on show from all the countries, and then the Women's T20 World Cup in Australia, which was again a great tournament, fantastic event. I worked on the semi-final in Sydney, the only one that was played sadly for England. But fantastic, two great tournaments, and how could you not love those Thai, the Thai team, who showed that it's not just about the big guns, but they were there, very much there to enjoy themselves. However, this virus has prevented any further cricket, so to scratch the particular statting itch, I threw my Twitter open to ask you if you had any questions for me, any questions that you've just longing to have answered by a statistician, and I've got a few to answer. So here goes. I've got them on a sheet here. The first one up was Giles B, who asked who is the best winner of tosses in Test matches, as in calls correctly, not wins the toss because of the opposition captain calling incorrectly. I think the best way of dealing with this one is to look at who won tosses away from home, as the away captain is normally the one who calls. Using that rationale, the best away from home is Graham Smith, who won 29 away tosses, going on to win 12 and lose 7 of those matches with 10 draws. Clive Lloyd is next with 20 away toss wins, with 12 wins and 2 defeats, and then Adam Border and Stephen Fleming both had 19 away toss wins. Obviously, it's not a fail-safe method, but unfortunately, we don't keep a record of who flicks the coin and who calls. But it's normally the away captain, so I've gone on that one. Interestingly, of the 30 captains that have won 10 or more away tosses, only one has never seen their side lose, having won that toss, and that was Virat Kohli with 8 wins and 2 draws from his 10 away tosses, I should say. Whereas MS Dhoni won 14 away tosses and lost 7 of them. So he's obviously not following in his predecessor, Mr. Kohli. So well done to him. So I hope that's okay, Giles, for you. I hope that answers your question as best I can. Cricket Bookseller asked how many times did the Sussex Lobster W. Humphreys dismiss Lancashire's Johnny Briggs in first-class cricket? Yes, lob bowling. An art of the game not seen in the current era, having largely been outlawed since the infamous Trevor Chappell incident at the MCG in 1981, but would certainly be interesting to see how it would fare now in the current game. For those unfamiliar with lob bowling, it's an underarm delivery, which was lobbed towards the batsman, much like that of the bowler in the game of bowls. But it was lobbed, and the bowler would put plenty of spin and dip on the ball as well, so could be quite tricky to play. The bowler you're talking about is Walter Alexander Humphreys, born in Southsea in Hampshire on the 28th of October 1849, but moved to Sussex shortly afterwards. Playing 273 first-class matches and took 718 wickets with his lobs, an average of 21.52 with 51 5-wicket hauls and 8 10-wicket matches. And he also claimed 3 hat-tricks, twice against the touring Australians in 1880 and 1884. Maybe we should bring back lob bowling and have that against the Aussies and see if that works again. He played for Sussex from 1871 to 1876 before appearing very briefly for Hampshire in just 2 matches in 1900. Answering the question, Humphreys dismissed Briggs on 3 occasions. For the South versus the North at Chichester in 1889, caught by William Quaife. For Sussex against Lancashire at Old Trafford in 1892 when he was out LBW. And for Surrey against Lancashire at Hove in 1894 where he was bowled. His most claimed victim in his first-class career was John Shooter of Kent and Surrey. who he removed 10 times in 25 games, ahead of Albert Ward of Yorkshire and Lancashire. Don't see that very often. Who he dismissed 8 times in 13 games. Seems certainly he got his number. The great W.G. Grace only succumbed 6 times in the 38 games that he played against Humphreys. So obviously the great W.G. Didn't succumb too much to the lobbing of Mr. Humphreys. So I hope that's all okay for you. Hope that's answered your particular question. Next up is Mr. Khan. Doesn't really narrow it down very much. Although asked what Sir Alistair Cook's top scores at each major international test grounds, and how many of the grounds does he have the top score at? So Alistair played at 48 different test venues, so to list his full list of high scores would take quite some time, and find a few people switching off from this video. So I'll send you the full list via Twitter later today. He only holds the ground record on one venue. The 294 at Edgbaston against India in 2011 tops the charts in Birmingham. But he does hold a number of other ground records, not quite the highest scores, but close by. Cook's 244 not out at the MCG in 2017 and his 235 not out in 2010 at Brisbane are the highest scores by a visiting batsman on those grounds, as is his 130 at Rajkot against India in 2016. The 263 against Pakistan at Abu Dhabi in 2015 is second only to A.B. de Villiers' epic 278 not out in 2010, and his 160 against the West Indies at Chester-le-Street in 2009 is also just second best there. So close, but not quite close enough for Sir Alistair, but he does hold the record at Edgbaston, a ground I know he quite likes, because he got 294 there. It's no real surprise. Thanks to Sam Hiscock for this one. This one took a while to dig out. At one time, England fielded 7 permanent captains in the same team: Brearley, Botham, Boycott, Gooch, Willis, Gower and Gatting. Headingley 1981, for example. Are there any captain lineups with 8 or more that spring to mind? Well, 7 is the record for England for permanent captains, although there are 3 test matches in that famous 81 series at Edgbaston and Old Trafford, and later in January 82 in Kolkata. Or Calcutta as it was known back then, that John Embry joined the list. But of course he wasn't a permanent captain. He did captain England on a couple of occasions, but he can't be listed under a permanent captain. The record for the most permanent captains to play in a test match is solely held by Pakistan, who have only had 32 captains in their test history. But in the series against England in 1967 in England, they played with 8 former, current or future captains in their side: Asif Iqbal, Hanif Mohammed, Intikhab Alam, Javid Burki, Majid Khan, Mushtaq Mohammed, Saeed Ahmed and Wazim Bari. It wasn't just that series, it was there's been a few actually. 1976-77 in New Zealand, and again in 92-3 in England and New Zealand, and then again in 2009-10 in India and at Rawalpindi against Sri Lanka. So they fielded 8 captains. The Test match record, and don't shout at me. This is just the record as it came out. Was a match which included the following captains: Andrew Flintoff, Brian Lara, Daniel Vittori, Graham Smith, Inzamam ul Haq, Jacques Callis, Mark Boucher, Rahul Dravid and Virender Sehwag. Yes, it was the ICC World 11 match against Australia in Sydney in 2005, which featured 9 international captains in their 11, which officially is the Test match record. But of course, there are many statisticians who don't deem this as an official game, I do remember back in 2006 at the MCG when Shane Warne took his 700th Test wicket, that Bill Frindle, who was there for the BBC, vehemently stated that it was only his 694th, because he didn't include the 6 wickets that he took in that particular Test match. So the world record for most Test match, most captains in a single Test 11 is for the World 11 against Australia with 9, but Pakistan have had multiple occasions where they have featured with 8. A couple more to go. John Grimsdale, one of our excellent umpires from the United Kingdom Armed Forces, and hello to you, John, asked who had the most DRS decisions overturned as an umpire. John, the easiest and probably the best way of highlighting this particular statistic, it's a difficult one to work out because DRS has changed more recently. So given the amount, and also the given amount of matches umpires actually do. The DRS system changed in September 2017 with regards to umpire's call and the team not losing a review if it went to umpire's call. So since September 2017, the umpire with a 63.8% accuracy rate, seeing 29 of his 80 decisions changed, is Nigel Long. While Joel Wilson of the West Indies has seen 33 of his 93 overturned, which is 64.5% accuracy, and Chris Gaffney had to change 35 of his 99 with a 64.6% accuracy. So those three are the, I don't like to use the word worst because they are very, very fine umpires, it has to be said, but they are the ones that have fallen to the worst win percentages, or the worst percentages of correct decisions under DRS. On the flip side of that, Michael Goff, an up-and-coming young umpire, sits head and shoulders above the rest at the moment, with just 2 of his 41 decisions being overturned, giving him a 95% accuracy rate, which is excellent, ahead of Kumar Dharmasena's 78.7%, there's 20 overturned in 94, and the recently retired Ian Gunnar Gould with 13 from his 57. Gunnar probably told him not to review because he's always right, of course he is. Fantastic man, fantastic umpire, and will be sorely missed in the international game, that is for sure. Certainly with a record like that, unsurprising. Which last but not least leaves my old friend and chairman of one of the finest sports clubs around, up at Prestwich Cricket, Tennis and Bowling Club, Mr. Brian Lorenzini, who asked about his hero, Sir Clive Hubert Lloyd, where there is a fantastic picture of him at the cricket club, much sort of verifying his hero status around the club. Sir Clive was born in Georgetown in British Guyana, now known as just purely Guyana, on the 31st of August 1944, and his 6'5" broad frame led the West Indies charge through Test cricket across 12 years, across the late 70s and early 80s. It is in this early 80s where his 4-pronged pace attack led the all-conquering West Indies side to a record 27 tests without a defeat. Remarkable record. All of those matches were against what you would call the big 3, if you like, Australia, India, and England. So no mean feat. His pace attack was led by the great and wonderful Malcolm Marshall, who we miss desperately down here in Hampshire as a Hampshire man, who took 127 wickets at 20.37. Michael Holding, I worked with many occasions, 98 wickets at 22.84, and Joel Garner, 93 wickets at 22.67. And a combination of Andy Roberts, Winston Davis, Wayne Daniel, Dean Baptiste, Courtney Walsh, and Colin Croft, with a handful of overs by the spinners. Roger Harper and Larry Gomes just threw up a few overs of slower bowling, of spin bowling, just to break it up a little bit. Bespectacled, he wore glasses after suffering an eye injury while trying to break up a fight at school in Georgetown. He was one of the finest West Indies batsmen there's ever been, and of course Lancashire as well. His 5,233 runs at 51.30 with 14 centuries across his 74 matches as captain. It's the fourth highest of all captains, behind Graham Smith, Alan Border and Ricky Ponting, who have all overtaken Sir Clive's runs record. So Sir Clive did hold the record until he was overtaken. And only Smith, Ponting and Steve Waugh have secured more wins as a Test captain too. And again, that has all come after Sir Clive's time. But Sir Clive was also the only man to captain his side at 3 World Cup finals, winning the first 2 in 75 and 79, and only he and Ricky Ponting have lifted the World Cup twice. It is his lengthy service with Lancashire from 1969 to 1986, a full 18-year spell. You don't see that these days with long spells of overseas players. It certainly was the thing back in those days. And I, again, going back to my Hampshire days with Gordon Greenidge, Malcolm Marshall and co. And his average of 44.82 across 207 games and with 29 centuries is the second highest, behind John Crawley of all the post-war Lancashire batsmen who have batted 200 times or more. I know it's a third bit of a sample size if you like, but it's just trying to make the point, as well as winning 4 of his 6 Lords finals with the county. He was knighted for his services to the game in the New Year's Honours last year, which was very much a fantastic reward for his game. I think he actually said it was better late than never, which is probably about right. But you know, fair play. What a wonderful servant to the game in the West Indies, but also over here in England, especially with Lancashire. Obviously became a match referee as well, and just such a great ambassador for the game. So fantastic effort from Sir Clive. So I hope that gives you a little something, Brian. So that's it for Ask the Statto for today. If you've got any statistical questions that you want answering, please drop me a message on my Twitter at RVI Cricket Stats, and you can be on the next one. I know there is one waiting for me about DRS again, and which batsman has fallen foul of DRS most often, or was called for DRS most often, and Shane Watson was mentioned. God bless him. DRS almost becoming for don't review Shane for quite a while. So good. So let's see. I will work that one out, and I will put that one on my next feed. But for now, keep safe, everybody. Let's hope all of this passes over soon and we can get back to watching some real cricket in the beautiful sunshine that is here in Southampton. It can't. 1st of July, the ECB have said we may get a restart again, but who knows? It's going to be a long road still to battle on, but we shall see. But until then, unfortunately, needs must. I'm off to work. Take care, everybody. Thanks very much for watching. Cheers. Thank you.